Biodiversity loss started because of human action and human impact. Stopping biodiversity loss also requires our determined action. There is no single ideal pathway to stop biodiversity loss in all regions and all circumstances. According to the recent evaluation by the International Panel for Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, we need at least 5 main types of different actions. 1. We need enhanced conservation and restoration of ecosystems. 2. We have to be better in climate change mitigation. 3. We need powerful action on pollution, invasive alien species, and overexploitation of wild species. 4. We have to initiate more sustainable production of goods and services, especially food. And 5. We simply have to reduce consumption and the amount of waste we produce. None of these areas of action alone, or any partial combination of them, can stop biodiversity loss. We need them all globally and in a powerful manner. Within these necessary changes, there are many potential routes of success which will reflect local conditions and priorities. For example, ambitious conservation measures focused on the land protection may have a high impact on the survival of terrestrial biota, while the marine biodiversity requires especially reduced pollution, better climate change mitigation, and stopping of the overexploitation of the species. Also, the approaches that prioritize greener landscapes within the farmed and urban environments may be needed, but will have no effect on some key elements of biodiversity, such as the decreasing populations of large vertebrates that require natural landscapes to survive. The framework that we humans use to stop biodiversity loss should be able to accommodate a variety of conditions and values. At the same time, it should recognize the consequences of different approaches on biodiversity and on ourselves. When we talk about biodiversity conservation, most people think about the so-called area-based conservation, which means setting part of the land and water as conservation areas, outside of human use. Indeed, there are several policies promoting notable increase in the protected area coverage. In many cases, this is an important step, but there are several reasons why it may also fail. For example, considering forests, protected areas generally mitigate deforestation pressure, but are not always able to stop the species decline. Species may continue to decline, for example, if invasive species compete with them. They are species that are not originally part of the habitat and that have been introduced to a habitat by humankind, either intentionally or unintentionally. Another reason for the failure of area-based conservation may be the fragmentation of the habitats. For example, many mammals and amphibians are not able to cross human-dominated landscapes, and each of the protected fragment alone may be too small to maintain a viable population. Area-based conservation may also fail simply because the nearby people don't respect the conservation, or because they are pushed to use the area due to some humanitarian crisis, such as a war or famine. Because of all this, in addition to area-based conservation, we need a variety of actions. We have to collect information on species population trends and the threats on the species to know where to act. We have to remove invasive species where they pose threats. We have to change activities such as the ocean fishery so that we stop the overharvesting of the species before it's too late. We have to make a transformative change of our lifestyle and the land that we use to help the species to live in the human-dominated part of the landscape and to disperse through it from conservation area to another.